Hawkesbury Cup winner Lee Baz was heavily backed in the Doncaster Prelude. The Hawkes-trained gelding looked to enjoy a fairly easy time of it out in front, but he was soon under siege in the straight, with Malice at Excess Knowledge engaging in a thrilling duel to the line.
And Lee Bass swings to the judge, 2 lengths clear from Excess Knowledge. Then Malice, San Diego, the outside. To the back then to Bull Point is squeezing between horses for a run. Looks as though the favourite's under siege here, and Malice races up with Excess Knowledge. They're beaten off Lee Bass. Then came Bull Point. It's Excess Knowledge and Malice going stride for stride. Excess Knowledge and Malice. Excess Knowledge, the inside is cooking, and Excess Knowledge beat Malice.
That horse gets in with 50 kilos. Excess Knowledge. He's won 2 out of 2 this campaign. He won at Kembla first up, and then he won that Group 3 at Rosehill yesterday. Brent, he's got 50 kilos in the Doncaster. It doesn't sound like a lot. It sounds like a pretty light weight to most of us, but Gay does have concerns about that weight.
Well, I think Gay Waterhouse will elect to go around the Doncaster Mile. Speaking with her after the races yesterday, at the conclusion of the final race, she suggested she'd only have 3 runners in the Doncaster Mile, and that would be Pornichet and then her 2 mares, Cosmic Endeavour and also Diamond Drill. So
Lee Baz in that race, he was very, very heavily backed.
Some of that was mine as well, and I was comfortable in the run. Look, he was very dour. When the sprint went on the turn, he was beaten, and then he rallied again late. Maybe he wants 2,000 metres. He was only second up, so a little forgiving, but disappointing. I thought it was great tactics by Karen on Excess Knowledge. He let him know he was in a race. He read the play beautifully, and look, he looks to have returned in pretty good form. I thought Malice was excellent first up. He's come back. Looks a much stronger horse this preparation. But all honest, with the winner, he showed a good fight.
You know, he's been placed up to 2,400 metres, that horse, in England. But he's only won the 3 races, but he's never won beyond 1,600 metres. He may not be a genuine stayer. Who knows?
He may not be, but
still, for the All Cerise of the Ingham family when climbing aboard Catkins in the Emancipation Stakes. The darling of Sydney racing narrowly missed out on a maiden Group 1 win last start, but under Godolphin's #1 pilot, deputising for the suspended Hugh Bowman, he showed all of her class to claim a bloodless victory.
From Catkins, who's being nursed along by McDonald in second. It's Any Day will do a length clear from Catkins. Now he gets serious on the favourite, and Catkins heads off Any Day will do. Then came a man called My Seville, and further back to Madam Gangster making late headway, but Catkins has burst away from a man going to second. But here's another local victory for Catkins. The hot favourite wins it comfortably from a Manport.
Field, if you weren't exclusively Godolphin Blue there at Rosehill yesterday. Catkins, you got into the saddle of Catkins yesterday to win the Emancipation. It looked pretty easy. Was it always under control?
Yeah, it was amazing to jump on that superstar mare. I was in awe of her. She tried her guts out and just through the machines, and she's so easy to ride. She relaxes. It was an absolute privilege to ride her, and I thank the owners, the Ingham family, for that opportunity.
I don't think there's a group fillies and mares race of set weights and penalties that she hasn't won now. I think it's an absolute specialty. She carried, 57 kilos yesterday, giving 3 kilos to horses vastly inferior to her.
Yeah, for sure. She was class above them. I really hope she gets that Group 1 because
I think everyone
she's a doll.
Deserves it.
She, like you said, she looks a gem to ride. You know, she's just
A field of 15 Australian Derby hopefuls went to post for the Tulloch Stakes, with McDonald opting for last start Far Lap Stakes runner-up Iraqi from 2 Godolphin runners. The jockey of the moment produced a stunning ride on the reset colt, which left its rivals standing to make it a high 5 for the man holding the rein.
Further back to Diamond Valores and Haraki. Well inside the distance now, and Omeros goes up on the inside to join the Merion. Now Haraki's gaining a middle split, but it's Omeros in front. Haraki looks for main danger from Merion. It's Omeros being tackled now by Haraki, who quickly put pay to them. And Haraki extends away for a big win in the Tulloch Stakes. Goes on to beat Omeros and Merion.
He looks promising, Haraki. Lightly raced colt. He's only had 6 runs for 3 wins. He'd run second to Winks at his previous start. We've got the jockey and the trainer with us on Racing Retro this morning. James, firstly, Haraki, I guess his next assignment is the Derby. Did he give you the impression that he'll run 2,400 metres?
Yeah, for sure. The key is just for him to settle the first half, and he'll worry about the second half later because I really think he can win a derby. I've liked this horse all along ever since I first sat on him in his first couple of trials, and teams have taken him slowly, so he's peaking it for the right time. There's a sense of timing about him.
You've ridden a couple of the other Derby chances too in track work and things like that. How does he compare strength-wise to them?
Yeah, well, this horse has probably had a shorter preparation and maybe probably a better one because those Kiwis take nothing away from their very good horses. But
So you rode Box, Stock and Barrel in track work the other morning?
Yeah, I rode him Saturday morning, and he gives you an excellent feel. But he's had a long preparation, but he's flying at the moment. And
he had to go too far back from his wide draw, and he had far too much to do. And although he was well beaten, I thought there was a merit in his performance. And in a mile and a half of the Derby, where if he drew a barrier, he could race in the first six, which he can. You'll see a much better performance from him. But this winner has got, as we say, a sense of timing about him. He's had it looks a good preparation. He keeps improving. Look, I couldn't find him at all yesterday, but geez, I have to find him now.
Go towards the Derby. Stephen Arnold felt that the 2,000 metres was as far as he wants. Ruling Dynasty will definitely back up, and Chris Waller plans to back up Quick Strike. So expect to see those horses going into the Derby next Saturday, taking on the likes of Preferment, Volt, Stock and Barrel and Mongolian Khan. It's going to be a terrific race, seeing the form out of the Tulloch.
We've got another Group 1 race to show you now. It was the Vinery Stud Stakes for the fillies over 2,000 metres. The hot favourite was First Seal at $1.80.
And it looks as though we're ready to run. We're off. And Miss Interior's got the best of the start from Slightly Sweet. The favourite away well, First Seal with a drift surging forward. Deeper out is Amicus, followed by Slightly Sweet drifting back. Sweet and Speedy goes forward, further back to Set Square, who's right off the track as well, as they drive up into that first corner. Back midfield in the pink cap is Thunder Lady in advance of Heavens Above, then Ballet Sweet. Getting well back is Wildenstein on the fence from Winks, who switched off second last as they negotiate that corner. And they work into the back now, and Drift takes the lead from Amicus, and the margin is a half length. Rallying through into third down the back is Fenway on the inside of Set Square, and Miss Interior's plonks in fifth. 2 lengths further back to Sweet and Speedy. 2.5 further back then as they go down the back to Slightly Sweet, the Nolan winner. They're followed further back in the field then by First Seal, the favourite up on the outside. 2 further back to Thunder. 2 further back to the favourite. First Seal is dead set midfield on the outside is Slightly Sweet. Then came Thunder Lady from Heavens Above, Ballet Sweet. Well back Wildenstein. Winks is still back second last from Lady Mackin as they travel up to the home turn, and Adrift is going to turn the corner in front. It's Adrift in front from Amicus. Fenway strides up on the outside into the straight. Adrift being joined by Fenway the outside. Then Amicus. First Seal is still 2 lengths behind them as Fenway races to the lead and draws a length clear from Amicus. First Seal is giving chase now, but Fenway is a length clear from First Seal. Can she get there? Fenway's a half in front. First Seal is trying to level up. Fenway under the pump. First Seal is lunging but misses, and Fenway gets the money. Blake Shin.
My first Group 1 with my family. It just meant so much, for my stepdad and stepbrother. Unfortunately, my stepdad, Lee, can't be here today. He's at home Kilmore doing the work. I just wish he could be here, but he's here in spirit. This is what it's all about, Like you said, a fairy tale come true.
Fenway getting the money there. She was having a third run back from a spell and getting up to 2,000 metres. Clearly that suited her. She was placed in the Wakeful Stakes back in the spring. And Blake Shin was the jockey. Another Group 1, another week, another Group 1 for Blake. Thanks for coming in, Blake.
Yeah, my pleasure, mate.
We just heard a little bit of a grab there of you after the race. It was certainly a very emotional win for you, a very special win with that family connection.
Yeah, most certainly. Winning for my family means every highest level. It's amazing to ride a winner for them. Like I said, it means everything to me.
We go back to the last time you were sitting in that chair, and there's some rich irony here. You're on your family's horse because you were going to be on First Seal. You lost the ride on First Seal, and you weren't happy about it at the time. It worked out beautifully.
Yeah, as we said, it's funny how racing works out. You just got to keep going forward, and
Racer for the lead.
There's big runs in behind Fenway from fillies heading towards that Oaks, and one of those is in the Coolmore Blue there in Ballet Suite for Chris Waller. She was very good to my eye. Thunder Lady, who was a winner of the Wakeful and placed in the VRC Oaks, was also strong through the line. Also Winks there charging on late. Amicus won't head on to the Oaks, but also a bit of a query on a Set Square. Now, she had been one of the favourites for the Oaks all along following her victory at interesting to see Wink's favourite there at $4.60 over a horse who, to my eye, clearly had a measure in Fenway.
And second look at the race, I think Wink was a lot better run than I first thought. She got into trouble
yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't believe it till I went home and had another couple of looks at it. But look, I don't know whether she should be ruling favourite or not for the Oaks. This is a very, very competitive Oaks. I like Ballet Sweet there as well. She's out of midweek racing. But look, the winner was strong. She's only third up. You'd expect she'd have improvement. She looks a stayer. She's bred to be a stayer, and look, it's going to be a terrific race.
Here's the replay.
After the race, about an hour following the event, we learnt that First Seal did have a trickle of blood from one nostril. That was found by the vets. Now, she will have to have a 1,000-metre gallop under the observation of stewards before she is set to race. Again, it's likely to be in the Queen of the Turf Stakes against the older mare. She won't progress towards the Oaks, but a little bit of a question mark whether that could have had some effect on her performance there yesterday. It's not a bleed from both nostrils, so definitely doesn't rule her out of racing.
No doubt it had an effect. I mean, whether they bleed out of both nostrils or one, they're still having a bleed.
Okay. Do you think maybe she should have a 1,000-metre gallop and then scope her straight after it?
Look, I'm not going to second guess the trainer, but if I owned the filly, I'd be thinking about maybe backing off now and waiting for the spring. I don't like horses.
Okay, let's get down to business and have a look at some races. We'll start with the weight for age BMW there at Rose Hill. The favourite was the Japanese horse, To the World, at $2.60.
Hartnell goes into a clear fifth now, with To the World back into sixth. Two further back, the Silent Achiever. Then Extra Zero from Lucia Valentino. The Melbourne Cup winner settles second last, Protectionist. And Who Shot the Barman, who ran third to him that day, is back at the tail of the field. Working down the back, and it's Fast Dragon in front by a length to the 3-year-old Hampton Court. Opinion in third from Beaten Up. 2.5 further back, the Hartnell. 2 off 10 to the World. From Extra Zero, Silent Achiever, Protectionist. Lucia Valentino and Who Shot the Barman is still last and about 10 lengths off the leader. Inside the 950 metres, Fast Dragon in front from Hampton Court and Beaten Up. Opinion fourth. Hartnell still travelling well to McDonald in fifth. Nicholas Hall sitting quietly on To the World, although he gives him a bit of a nudge now. Something's gone wrong with Opinion. Opinion's being eased out of the race. Then came Silent Achiever, Lucia Valentino to the outside. From Extra Zero, well back Who Shot the Barman and Protectionist as the field starts to compact a bit coming to the turn. Fast Dragon in front from Hampton Court, but here they come, Hartnell and To the World rushing around the outside with Beaten Up trying to go with them. At the top of the straight, it's To the World on the outside of Hartnell. Beaten Up back in third. To the World looms on the outside of Hartnell, and the 2 stars are drawn clear. Hartnell the inside of To the World. Hartnell's kicking from To the World. Hartnell gets a half length on To the World. Beaten Up back in third, but Hartnell will take out the BMW. Hartnell too good for the Japanese horse To the World. Beaten Up third, followed by South of Barman, Protectionist.
BMW going to Hartnell there. What a great battle it was between two great horses. Hartnell, he's only had the 3 runs in Australia, 2 wins and second in a Group 1, so he's off to a great start. And of course, we've got James and John with us on Racing Retro this morning. James, when they were slogging it out, those 2 horses, were you confident you could hold off the Japanese runner?
Yeah, I was fairly confident from probably the 800. We really cranked up the tempo, and I sort of knew where To the World was, and I could feel him coming. And so once he come up next to me, he was always going to have to make a long, sustained run. And even though I was on the inside, I was still doing the bit of the dictating, so to speak. And when he eyeballed me at the top of the straight, I still felt like I had a few lengths up my sleeve. I hadn't really gone for him, and Nick gave his horse a tickle up behind the saddle, and I thought, geez, I'm in with a live chance because I'll stay right to the line, you know. So it was a great effort by the horse, and geez, he's come on leaps and bounds.
John, He's obviously thrown in the Sydney Cup and he looks beautifully placed in that. But this performance was that of a Melbourne Cup favourite. What's your thinking?
You know, stuff you can. Melbourne Cup's just changed. You know, it's dynamic now. It's almost a lottery, and I think my recommendation to the boss would be that while he's going well, it's $1.5 million now in the Sydney Cup. It's not just an all-around race. I think it's going to take great significance going forward, and it's going to be a hell of a race. And I'd sort of like to aim for that opportunity. Yeah.
And he's won at 3,200 metres in England before, hasn't he?
He won very impressively at 3,200. So at Ascot, which is a testing mile, 2 miles. So, and he shows a good turn foot at the end of it. So
yeah, James, in the gates
all the time.
What did you think of the Japanese horses, Ron? John, just get your opinion on To the World. He looks like a tough customer.
He does, and William had ridden him in Japan, so we had a bit of insight as to how he would go. To be fair to the horse, he did look very big in enclosure. And look, I think generally, mate, the Japanese coming into Sydney in the autumn is different to the Japanese coming into Melbourne in the spring. They're coming out of their winter. You can see their coats. We had a little Japanese horse stay with us last year, the filly that won the All Age. And I can guarantee you, by the time she had a third run in the All Age, she's a different looking horse. So we're under no illusion that he's going to improve a lot going into the championships. And we're going to have to be
James, look, you've got
what's happening with Protectionist? What did you think of his run?
Well, he's heading towards the Sydney Cup. That's been the goal since he returned to Sydney, and Chris Lees was quite pleased with his performance. But whether he's going to be able to give a horse like Hartnell weight going into that event, considering he was beaten at weight for age, will be the interesting point. But you speak of Opinion, the horse who was pulled up out of the race now. He's been found to be lame in the off foreleg yesterday afternoon. Spoke with Chris Waller this morning. And he said the horse will be checked over by his vet, have more scans tomorrow. At this stage, it'd be highly doubtful that he'd head towards a Sydney Cup, but Chris just doesn't want to rule out at this stage until he finds what is actually wrong with Opinion. But of the other beaten brigade,
Beaten Stakes boasted a favourite starting at odds, even reserved for the great mare whose name adorns this race. Former English galloper Noble Protector, who has a second to top liner contributor on her resume, looked the winner a long way from home after jumping to the lead from barrier 1.
Noble Protector in front, nursing at the moment, swinging on her on the corner. One on Marianne, wider out Girl in Flight, starting to give chase, and then Precious Gem. He starts to open up the wings on the bend, and Noble Protector went too clear. Girl in Flight stays in the shadow. Then Marianne, it's Noble Protector in front. Girl in Flight is trying her hard out with Marianne, but Noble Protector is too good for them. She goes all the way and wins the Sunline. Wins it by 2 1/4 lengths to Girl in Flight and Marianne.
The concern was if she got in traffic, and Craig said, Barry, the other thing is, Barry, once you can be a bit iffy in the gates, but if she stepped, he was always going to be positive and try and take luck out of the equation. And when she broke as clean as she did, he just controlled the race from the front, not the way we necessarily wanted to
Field of sprinters lined up for the Group 1 sprint at weight for age, with last year's Blue Diamond winner Earthquake an easy favourite. Former Queensland galloper Lucky Hustler concluded his spring campaign with a second to Hucklebuck in the Emirates Stakes, and the gelding would go one better, first up under a masterful Glen Boss ride.
And best of the rest as they turn. Bell Spreader, Galaxy Pegasus taken on by the filly Veselay. Vain Queen went up to them 3 wide. Wider out Briante, Rebel Dane, Earthquake for Ron looking for a run. And Lucky Hustler getting out. Vain Queen went to the front of the 200. Leads the way. Briante's trying hard. And here comes the boss man and Lucky Hustler burning grass. Lucky Hustler swept to the lead. Great return. Lucky Hustler wins the Group 1. Second is tied between kicking back on the inside Vain Queen and Briante.
He come back better this prep. He had 2 trials up, and Johnny Allen, our main track rider, and at home he was giving glowing reports and said he's really going well, this horse. And he went and galloped him on Monday and said he worked terrific, and he's brought that work here tonight, and it's been a great thrill.
Group 1 racing at Moonee Valley on Friday night. Lucky Hustler there for Darren Weir. He was first up since the Emirates Stakes, where he ran second to Hucklebuck. In fact, his form during the spring was quite consistent. I guess they could look at good sprints in Adelaide and Brisbane for him.
Might come to the TJ Smith.
Maybe.
He's a serious horse. He's
Not that serious.
well, he come a long way in a short time last preparation. He's got that acceleration that's needed. I know it was a brilliant role by the boss. So, look, I'm not underrating him.
What are they going to do with him, Brent?
Well, speaking with Glenn Boss at Rosehill Gardens yesterday, expecting that he'll be coming to Sydney for the Group 1 all-age stakes over 1,400 metres at the end of
over Randwick again now. We've got a very big storm front out to the west of the city of Sydney, and it looks like it will move in over the next half an hour, and we will get some more rain here at Randwick, which will be a shame. Hopefully not too much. Gina.
Thanks, guys. And we have got some stunning looking 2-year-olds to look at here, starting with Pride of Dubai, who is a real solid, beautiful looking colt here by Street Grey. He's come here straight from the Blue Diamond, which is not the usual path to follow. Bit of time off, really, compared to some of these others.
It certainly is. It's always a concern.
The racing, and there's a very good line out of the gates. Being pushed pretty hard from the wide draw is Always Allison, who's going to forge to the early lead from Ready for Victory, Odyssey Moon handy, then Mashani Honcho on the fence. English is trying to go forward, then Pride of Dubai from Queen of Wands on the rails. Further back then to Pasadena Girl. Regis is second last and Tarquin the outside is back last. Down the side of the course and Always Allison makes the running by 3/4 to English is a lot handier today on this leader's track. Mashani Honcho behind them. Pride of Dubai is right off the course but pushing into a 3-wide position down the outside of Odyssey Moon. Then Ready for Victory. Tarquin taking closer order. Regis is well back from Queen of Wands and Pasadena Girl is last. 600 metres out and it's Always Allison on the fence just leading from English. Pride of Dubai strides up on the outside, making a line of 3. Tarquin pulls to the outside. He's taking closer order, followed by Mashani Honcho, Ready for Victory under pressure. Then came Radis and Pasadena Girl as they straighten up. Always Allison in front from English and Pride of Dubai. Regis is closing up well with Odyssey Moon and Tarquin. A great finish in the sires. And Regis bursts through the centre. And Regis races to the lead from Pride of Dubai. Then Odyssey Moon, Tarquin and Pasadena Girl. Pride of Dubai is coming back on Regis. It's Pride of Dubai lifting in the sires. And Pride of Dubai will go on and win it. Photo for the minors, Regis and Odyssey Moon the outside. Pasadena Girl fourth, followed by Tarquin. Then Ready for Victory. English handier but didn't see it out. Further back to Mashani Honcho, Queen of Wands. And Always Allison having led. Weekend to finish back last.
Huey Bowman wins his first size produce stakes and he had to earn it too. The same colours for Sheikh Mohammed bin Khalifa. They drew away his pair. Regis looked as though he had the better of
Physically and mentally he's there, but, you know, my personal opinion is he will be a better 3-year-old, but you can't take anything away from him. He's won a Blue Diamond. He had to run through interference in that race and he won well, and he's come here today and he did it the hard way, so he's going to be one for everyone to keep an eye on, I think.
I wouldn't like to be on the other side of him getting a push and shove. Just briefly, Terra Vista and then...
What are you thinking? The Regis, the same colours, different cap, different stable. It looked as though Regis was going to have the better of you, but your bloke didn't want to lie down.
Look, it's full credit to the horse, as Huey just said. He was 4 deep pretty much most of the race with no cover, and to sort of be emptied out the furlong and then fight back late was it's a credit to the horse.
After the Blue Diamond, you made a firm decision to miss the slipper, concentrate on the size.
Yeah, I actually asked Dad, was he happy with that choice after a few of those sort of went along the wayside leading up to the slipper, and he said yes. He said we're going to the size, so thankfully it's come off.
All right, will we see him in the Champagne?
I bloody hope so. I've roared like I've never roared before in my life today, so I hope I can do it again.
Well, it's 2 weeks, so your voice should be back to normal.
Front there, and English, she got the good spot right outside the leader there and looked to be travelling well on the corner. And then Pride of Dubai has pulled his way up into third spot, just sitting right outside the pair of them facing the breeze. Here come the runners coming around the outside now. And at this stage, I thought English would kick here, but she seemed a little flat after her golden slipper effort. Pride of Dubai quickly had her, but they seem to quickly have him as well, and I thought he was going to go down at this point.
Well, it's 2 weeks from the slipper to this race now, so it may be a little bit tougher, and they really felt the pinch Ready for Victory and English here late. I thought to Pasadena Girl, look at her. There's not much of her, but what I've seen of her today suggests that she's pretty good over, especially if you get her over a bit further. Her effort was good, and look, he wasn't too bad, Tarquin, as far as the Champagne Stakes is concerned. The timing looked
here for the very next on the card here. Another group run. Let's go to Ron Dovesey and to Gina Harding.
Thanks. Yeah, again, a real quality field to get through here. We'll start with the horse number 1, Preferment by Zabeel, a horse who just seems to be peaking in time. And unbelievably, Chris Waller looking for a first win in this race.
Yeah, amazing. He did win the VRC Derby, though. He has had the perfect preparation for this. He returned to form at the right time last start, and he's obviously very hot. Guineas. All the reports are
400 metres. Preferment, we know he's been a Derby winner already.
Of months, it's very, very static this market here. I can tell you on course though, both horses have been favourite, Preferment and Haraki, at different stages of betting. We've got them equal favourites here at $3.80. Volkstock and Barrel at $4.20, and then Mongolian Khan at $6. Amiros at 13, Quick Strike 17.
The BMW Australian Derby. And they're off and racing, and the favourite Preferment just being snagged back at the start from the outside draw. And Hampton Court jump well together with Quick Strike. Volkstock and Barrel's handy, so's Mongolian Khan on the rails. Brogues going forward off the track. Omerus being restrained to midfield. Then Ruling Dynasty from Bakila. Haraki settles second last, and Preferment is a clear last as they work out of the straight. And Hampton Court takes up the running from Brogue, who's going to stride up on the outside. And Volkstock and Barrel gets a nice position third from Quick Strike. Then Mongolian Calm back on the fence. A length and a half to Omeros. Further back to Haraki in the blue jacket on the inside of Ruling Dynasty. He's a touch keen. The outside of Haraki. Now Ruling Dynasty makes a mid-race move. Ruling Dynasty quickly sprinting up out the side and goes and sits outside the leader now. Omeros, he decides to get going as well. Further back to Quick Strike, Preferment, and Bakila is still back last, 1,000 metres out. And Ruling Dynasty goes up to turn the screws here on the leader, Hampton Court, and the pair go stride for stride now. Mongolian Khan back in third on the inside of Brogue. Then Volkstock and Barrel, Haraki, wider out Omeros, who didn't quite sprint with Ruling Dynasty, but he's out 3 wide from Quick Stride. The favourite Preferment, he's still back second last, and Bakila is last as they travel up to the turn. It's Hampton Court just leading from Ruling Dynasty. Mongolian Khan's getting an inside run together with Volkstock and Barrel, and Volkstock and Barrel takes the inside run now and races up to join Hampton Court at the top of the straight. Then Haraki getting through. On the outside, Omeros is cutting loose, and then Mongolian Khan. Omeros, he's drifting right across the racecourse. He's very erratic for the Magic Man. Omeros just in front. The trio on the far side. Rocky, Mongolian Volkstock and Barrel. Mongolian Khan surging through. Mongolian Khan from Haraki and Volkstock and Barrel. And here's a Trans-Tasman Derby double. Mongolian Khan beats Haraki and Volkstock and Barrel. Followed by Quick Strike. Then Bakila. Ruling Dynasty. Omeros, the moment he got to the front, he threw it away. Preferment couldn't get into it from Brogue and Hampton Court.
Mongolian Khan does it. He does a bone crusher. Wins the New Zealand Derby and the Australian Derby, and Opie Bosson drives Mongolian Khan to the lead and holds them off. Volkstock and Barrel on the outside and Haraki on the fence fight out the minor end of the prize. It's a great effort to win 2 derbies on both sides of the Tasman.
It certainly is.
Today when I hooked on in the parade ring, he was a different horse and had his life back in him.
He looked alive, he was prancing around, and he was so keen to get out here.
Yeah, and he jumped and put himself in the race and travelled beautifully throughout. And he just loves that 2-4. He just keeps grinding all the way to the line.
It sounded good when they put a bit more speed mid-race on. Go and enjoy. Well done.
Damien Oliver on Preferment. He said he just didn't go 1 yard in this ground. He said real struggle into on the conditions. Tommy Berry said the speed slowed too much for Ruling Dynasty. You can see here having to make a mid-race move, and he said the horse just wasn't able to sprint on these conditions. Joe Moreira was shaking his head about the performance of Omeros, the horse who run off the track in the straight. He said he's just a very, very hard horse to handle at this stage. He's still improving. He needs to mature a little bit more to be a potential stayer going into the future. James McDonald gave a big rap to Haraki. He said his run was fantastic, but the big disappointment, clearly Preferment, who Victoria Derby winner, but was just unable to get into this race at all.
We're watching him here going past the 800-metre mark, and Damien Oliver's just starting to shake him along, and he gets onto the back of a few in front of him and then just spits the bit straight out, and from that point on, it was never a chance. Here come the swoopers around the field. It was starting to bunch up on the corner. Hampton Court had set a good pace, even though he was taken on at mid-stages, and that's Volkstock and Barrel getting up on the inside. He was full of running on the corner.
Yeah, it's strange. In the staying races, you can sort of go on the worst part of the track and save ground. And in the staying races, invariably, that's the better place to be. But look, You have to say, Preferment has hit flat spots in his races before, but nothing like this. That was just a total disappointment. Great return to form from the New Zealander.
No, they were glorious, the two Kiwis. They ran very well, and Haraki on the inside. He just couldn't go with the more experienced Mongolian over the last 50 metres. Let's go to Greg Radley.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, good to be back. Always like coming to Randwick.
I bet you do. Rain, hail or shine.
Yeah, no, mighty track, good racing, big stakes. We thought you might lend us a bit for New Zealand.
You got a great record in the derbies. You've won 3 of these derbies now.
Yeah, 3 wins and a second with Harris Tweed. Got beaten by the Master Bart. So just good to get back again, have another go. And I must congratulate Opie Bossum on a great ride.
How tough was it? Well, here's Opie now. Congratulations.
We thought he'd run a good race today.
Well, he certainly bounced back, and the weather wasn't a problem to him. And is he just a dour stayer?
Well, I think he's a real 2-4 horse. He keeps going at the one speed, which is quite fast.
All right, that's okay. What do you want to do now? You want to give him a nice break?
Yeah, we'll give him a break and get him right for Melbourne. He's qualified now, having won 2 derbies. I know Mr. Ling, the owner, is very keen to run in the Melbourne Cup, so we'll see what eventuates.
All right, but
We'll go to Gina and to Ron very, very soon because quite a big field to get through here. In the TJ Smith Stakes, the Group 1 event here, more $1 million racing coming up here. Of course, Black Caviar winning this 2 out of the last 4 runnings of the race, and last year's winner was Lankan Rupee, who backs up again and is in the market here at $3.80 for this year's version. Terra Vista is at $2.60. Chautauqua at $3.50, $3.80 for Lankan Rupee. And Tiger Tease next in the market, way out at $15 there, Glenn.
Yeah, so Joey Pride with 3 of the first 5 in the market here. Terra Vista,
he's a real gentleman. Dangers, Chautauqua, look out for him late. He's going to be the big finisher here, suited by some pressure, what appears to be pressure up front. Of the other, it's just poetry in motion. He's so relaxed so well. What a race we got here. I'm surprised Chautauqua was unfancied in the betting here. He's got out to 440 and even longer on the parimutuel totes. So, look, he's the finisher here because there's going to be speed galore. This is a real race here. Rain Affair likes to run him along, and, Joe's got a couple of other speeds. Significant.
The field is locked and loaded, and they're off and racing in the TJ, and Tiger Tease jump well together with Rain Affair, who's going to sit in a prominent position. They're followed right up on the speed by Lankan Rupee, driving into second now. Lord of the Sky up to third. Tiger Tease next from Press Reporter. Further back then to Famous Seamus on the inside of Fontalina. Terra Vista's well back in the field in a 3-wide position, followed by Chautauqua and Fast and Rocking is last. Rain Affair leads down the side. Frob, Lord of the Sky in second. Lankan Rupee takes the box seat third, followed by Tiger Tease on the inside of Press Reporter. Terra Vista's covering ground from Famous Seamus. Then came Fontalina from Fast and Rocking, and Chautauqua was back last as they start to spread it up now around the turn on the mudlark. Rain Affair full of running at the moment. 2 in front of Lord of the Sky. Lankan Rupee being popped the question in third. Further back to Terra Vista making good headway. Rain Affair's under siege now from Lord of the Sky. Lord of the Sky races to the lead. Terra Vista's giving chase. Chautauqua's coming with a big run on the outside. It's the Sky a length clear. Chautauqua is eating up the ground. Lord of the Sky half in front. Chautauqua starting to level up. Here we go! Boom! Chautauqua lunged at Lord of the Sky, and he might have got up to win it from Terra Vista third. Then Fontalina from Rain Affair. Famous Seamus, Fast and Rocking, Press Report. Lankan Rupee couldn't do it this year, and Tiger Tease was last to finish.
Chautauqua has worn them down, and he's won his Group 1. It was Chautauqua wearing down Lord of the Sky. And look at that grey nose coming down on the line where it counts. Tommy gives him one slap. And, oh, gee whiz. He's won. He's won. Wayne Hawkes, congratulations.
When you stop there for a second, I panicked for a couple of seconds. My heart did stop there a couple of times, but, gee, it was, he was, honestly, he was never in a winning position. No. He was last. D-Dum was on his outside, and obviously he wasn't going to be doing him any favours, and that's fair enough. They're all out there riding their own horse. But, to come from last today and do what he did, that was pretty freaky. But, everyone knows his form. His last couple of starts have been a bit unlucky, but just great he could finally get the Group 1 out the road.
Not bad for a horse that was labelled a straight tracker, a straight Flemington horse.
No, when he won so well up the straight at the start of the spring last year, I've said on this, I've said to you and everyone many a time, the straight track is the hardest track in the country to win at. And when you got a horse like him that just loves a straight track, we just thought, well, we got a good thing, let's just stick to it. So it was no Sydney way of going or anything like that. It was just, all it was just, the $1 million race was at the end, and he could have run an Emirates. He could have run the Doncaster today, this horse.
Come over here, Wayne. We've just got to get out of the way of these horses. Holding him together, is he a good horse to do anything with and get to these grand finals one after the other?
He's had everything go right the last 12 months. I mean, it's sort of ridiculous from a trainer's point of view how this horse has been so push button, and the 2 grand finals, it just didn't quite go. But he's just, and I mean, I said to Steve Kay, one of the owners, he said, what do you think? I said, mate, I said, if he has the right run on a fast track, I said, he just wins.
Oh, Tommy Berry, you were so excited. You didn't know if you'd won it or not. You left me hanging.
Well, exactly. I didn't know if I won it or not, so I went back and checked the photo as quick as I can, and we're home, baby.
He was just eating up the ground late today.
He did. Look, full credit to the Hawks team. I was in an awkward spot coming to the corner. I just let him relax and come back and go around him, and he's a super horse. How often do you get chances to ride sprinters like this for the first time? I can't thank the Hawks team enough. They've been a great support for me since I joined since I started riding a little bit.
I thought Lord of the Sky was very brave here. Damien Oliver there must have thought for a few strides that he'd hang on, but Chautauqua just a little bit too strong under Tommy Berry. Let's have a look from the start here. And Fast and Rocking broke quickly, but here come the leaders, and Rain Affair took it straight up.
Couple of the beaten jockeys speaking with Craig Newitt. He said Lankan Rupee was just much too keen. He said he feels the horse needs to go for a spell. And I spoke with Mick Price. He said that's exactly what he'd be doing, going back and having a break and starting from scratch with this horse, because he certainly performed well below his best. Hugh Bowman on Terra Vista. He said the horse probably wasn't at his best today. He said he feels he's got a little bit more in store in past performances. He couldn't blame the ground because the horse has been very good in soft ground in the past. And Damien Oliver, he said, coming up the rise, he couldn't believe how strongly Lord of the Sky was going. He said he really relishes in the going, and he said it just took a freak of a performance to beat him.
Well, here he is claiming the lead here on Lord of the Sky. On the replay here, Rain Affair had led them up, but Lord of the Sky tackled him quickly. Lankan Rupee gave up pretty quickly here. He sort of got himself into the first 3 and then spat the bit out. Terra Vista in the orange colours starting to come quickly, and then Chautauqua with the last crack at them from the back here starts to put in the long strides. Lord of the Sky, well,
big run.
Oh, it was a massive run.
He raced keenly on top of that speed. He was the only survivor of the on paces. I think you have to give him a pat on the back. That's the race of his life he's run there. And Chautauqua, well, we know he can savage the line. Look at him, he slow out into stride here, back last, and considering the pattern of the day, that was a big, big performance. First and second, that was a great race.
It was a fantastic race, and he's put himself right up there. Terra Vista. Lankan Rupee, I don't know whether he can hold his position in the top 3 sprinters at the moment, but Terra Vista certainly can. Chautauqua can. And Brazen Bow would probably be there, given that he wasn't in the race today, but his performance in the Newmarket would frank him there. So we've got something, and $1.60. Lord of the Sky at $4.80, and Terra Vista third, $1.30. 3, 9 and 2. The trifecta will pay 208, and the first 4 on 3, 9, 2 and 6 will pay 3,200 metres. What a fantastic field we've had gathered here on the Soft 7 track, the 150th running of the Doncaster Mile. Royal Descent at $7.90 and $8 for Hallowed Crown. Pornichet, $8.50 in the market here. They're the main ones. Let's talk about tab.com.au, Glenn.
Well, it's been an amazing betting race, Rich. We've had 4 different favourites throughout the day. Hallowed Crown and Royal Descent are equal favourites at present at $7 each of 2. Ermedec and Pornichet at $8 each of 2. Real Impact's there at $9.50. Suavito 11, Arabian Scent, and they've each one of those 4 have been favoured at different times during the day. But we've got 4 equal favourites. Real Impact just in, and since Ronnie started to really rev it up, then 11 into $9.50. Suavito's there at 11, Arabian Gold at 13, Rudy a $17 chance. If you're looking at the New South Wales tab there, Rudy.
Yes, sir. Racing. Oh, Lee Baz has missed the start. Lee Baz is going to settle a clear last. and Rudy jumped well together with Ninth Legion. Swayness and Hooked are showing speed, but right off the course. Suavito just behind them, followed by Arabian Gold, Cosmic Endeavour. Real Impact is off the track, but surging forward, followed by Plucky Bell. Lee Baz making ground on the fence. Further back then to Cosmic Endeavour as they travel into the first turn. World Ace is deep, then Kermadec from Happy Trails. Well back is Hollow Crown. He's covering plenty of ground from Puccini. Then Destiny's Kiss, Sacred Falls, and Diamond Drill is last. 1,000 metres out, and the Ruffy leads Ninth Legion. Out by a half length in Hook second. Real Impact goes to third. The Mudlark, Rudy in fourth. Followed then by Swayness. Suavito back on the inside from Cosmic Endeavour. They're followed then by Arabian Gold. Lee Baz is over on the fence. Further back to a Plucky Bell who's trying to push up deeper on the track. Then came Pornichet, who's one off the fence. Diamond Drill deeper out from Kermadec. Happy Trails. Destiny's Kiss. Purton's hugging the fence on Sacred Falls. Hollowed Crown very deep from Puccini second last, and Diamond Drill is last as they race around the home corner now. And Real Impact off the course goes up to join Hooked. Followed then by Ninth Legion. Rudy's got plenty of room. Sacred Falls back to the fence. Portichet's making ground, and coming down the outside now is Royal Descent with a great run. Real Impact hits the lead. Royal Descent moseying down the outside. Kermadec's bursting through on the far side. Kermadec hits the lead from Real Impact. Royal Descent's dying on his run, and it's Kermadec. Kermadec scores a great win from Real Impact. Royal Descent third. Then Rudy, followed close up by Pornichet, Suavito, World Ace. Then Lee Baz from Sacred Falls, Happy Trails, Hooked, Cosmic Endeavour, Diamond Drill, Hollow Crown off the course from Plucky Bell, Destiny's Kiss, Swayness, and last to finish was Ninth Legion.
Well, he was second emergency for the race, and they had to wait until 7:30. It was 7:29 and 59 seconds before they knew that Kermadec was going to be in the field. Who was going to be fighting it out? Well, it didn't matter, because just out of the pack burst Kermadec, and he's raced away to score comfortably. And
I'm really lost for words right now. I truly am.
That makes six, mate. Six.
Oh, yeah, but this one's probably the most special one. You know, just given the opportunity to ride what is a beautiful colt. Gigi, from the time I got in his back in the enclosure, I felt very confident. He just come around here, a bit of a swagger about him. He just oozes sexy class, this horse. It's an amazing. It's amazing he hasn't got a better. Well, he should have a better record than he has, because he just gave me an amazing feel then when he let go. And he, for a colt, is very brave. I was galloping where there was just no room. We were pushing through gaps, which were
That's the bossy we know.
Well, I mean, you got to have the horse underneath, and he was brave enough to do it for me, and still able enough to pick up and sprint when I asked him. And that was a soft victory. He's a very, very good colt, and so many people thank obviously the Waller team, and give me the opportunity to ride him. I know he's got a lightweight, and probably not many blokes could ride him, but anyway, they threw it my way, and
you had to wait till 7:30 this morning too.
Yeah, listen, I've got some great friends who I start
explainable moment. You had to wait until what, 7:29 and 58 seconds to know that you were short of a start.
Yeah, exactly right. That's just racing at its best, though, isn't it? It's a theatre. Whether it be putting a race meeting off on Saturday, no way of explaining it.
You didn't want to run in the Carbine Club today. You wanted to run in the Group 1, and if it wasn't going to be today, it was going to be later on. He's a Group 1 horse.
Yeah, yes, for sure, and he's obviously proved that today, but it won't be the last one he wins.
Yeah. So unlucky in the rider. It stands out even more now.
Yeah, irrelevant now, though. He's won his race, and being a colt, he's got a bright future ahead.
You fifth, Doncaster, and Glenn Boss celebrates his sixth. So real history-making moment here at Royal.
One, I must say, a Group 1 winner of Kermadec. He should have won the Australian Guineas, and he's back in the field here, and gets into as we watch this race unfold, he just gets a little slight check there, Bossy, just trying to come back underneath him.
He's white colours, blue cap, running about midfield there. If you watch that, that'll be Glenn Boss. And just see the run he gets in the straight here with Ninth Legion leading out at the moment. And we're just watching Glenn Boss. He starts to poke up between runners here. There's one thing about Glenn Boss's rides, which we've seen him do it in Melbourne Cups and Doncaster Miles. He never panics. He watches the horses in front. He looks for the gaps. And Kermadec just travelling beautifully here down the side.
He certainly does. And look, he just took a bit while to come back underneath him. And look, you see the second horse here, Real Impact, pouring the pressure on 3 deep, no cover. But that's his style. He likes to race that way. Royal Descent, she looked like she was going to get in early, and then she got shoved, wide, no cover mid-race here. So her effort was excellent considering the circumstances.
Real Impact here as well on the bit. He strode up to the lead there, and when I thought Real Impact was going to put a bit of a space on the field here, but he just couldn't shake them off. And you can see Kermadec just following through inside here, looking for the runs. That's where he could have got blocked, but he didn't. Real Impact looked like he's got control of the race. Here come the charges, and Kermadec through the centre there just grabs the lead, and with his lightweight was too strong.
Yeah, dominant performance late. Like I say, he's a deserved Group 1 winner, big-time performer, Bossy. Real Impact was gallant in defeat, as was Royal Descent, who just can't crack it for one of these big Randwick miles, but hopefully her day comes shortly.
$10.10 and $3.80 for Kermadec. Real Impact $4.90 the place, and Royal Descent $2.90. 22, 4 and 6 over the line. Look at that first four.
Their performance was quite good. Royal Descent. Tommy Berry said Hello Crown was basically following slow horses the whole way around. He couldn't find a back to bring him into the race. He said his performance was quite credible, but a lot of the jockeys said they just weren't able to keep up in the ground, where they started to struggle when the pressure was on.
Average.
Thanks. Well, let's take a look at these fillies then. Starting with number 1, Abduction. James McDonald and John O'Shea teaming up. Can they bookend the card, Ron?
Yeah, well, they're looking to try and get into the Oaks with most of these fillies here. And look, Abduction, she's had a couple of runs back from us.
At 13, Gust of Wind goes to 17, and then Candelara, $21 chance. If you're in front, good luck to you. If you're looking to get out, I hope you do.
And calling the last today, of course, Darren Flindell.
Thanks, Richard. Last Stupenda moves up into the gates. Been a great day. Set now on the Adrian Knox. Good line. And the 3-year-old fillies are off and running in the last, and Candelara and Last Stupenda got away well together with Maastricht is drawn deep, but it's pushing forward from Rustic Melody. Lady Mackin with the leaders, and Winetails is hugging the fence, followed by Centre of Attention. Then Gust of Wind from Joyful Journeys. Azali gets the course, and Last Stupenda just in front. But Candelara gets itchy fingers now, and Candelara strides to the front from Maastricht. Last Stupenda let the pair go into third. 2.5 further back to Rustic Melody. Then Winetails biting at Simon the Rouse. Lady Mac on the outside. Joyful Journeys off the course. Further back to Gust of Wind now. Zarzali's given a dig up. It's starting to improve its position around the field. Centre of Attention tries to get onto its back. Schwademar likewise. Abduction's got shuffled well back on the fence from Gust of Wind, but travelling to the turn. And Candelara spins the corner 1.5 lengths clear, but Maastricht is stalking it everywhere it goes. Rustic Melody, and now Zarzali starting to wind up down the outside, but Candelara's burst away with a big lead inside the 300 metres. Maastricht is sticking on in second. It's still in for the fight, Maastricht. Then Rustic Melody. Zarzali's still got a lot of ground to make up, but it's Candelara 1.5 lengths clear from Maastricht, who's trying hard, but Candelara keeps going from Maastricht and Rustic Melody, and Candelara hands and heels will win the last in a breeze. Rustic Melody got up to nail Maastricht for second. Then Gust of Wind for fourth. Zarzali petered out, followed by Winetails, then Abduction. Further back to Schwadermeyer from Centre of Attention, Joyful Journey, Lady Mackin, and Last Stupenda finished at the tail of the field.
What a ride. What a ride by Hugh Bowman to round out the day. He made that move down the side of the track to really make it a staying test. And they were never going to catch Candelara. Maastricht tried to go with it, but they never bridged the gap. Rustic Melody's run into second.
Wonderful Oaks. We'll have a quick look at the market first. Curo at $2.10. Rubik at $6 on fixed odds. $6 for Moss Fun. Bring the Maid at $6 and $9 Delectation. $2.60 on fixed odds for Curo. Now let's have a look at the speed.
And the Curo goes in, and we're ready now on the arrow field over 1,200 metres. And the gates open, they're off, and the favourite was one of the first out. Curo on the outside of Nostradamus. Moss Fun away well from Soldi Damani. Then came Confederate. Over on the inside, Puzzling Wonders punching through, followed by Rubik, Bring Me the Maid. And a good margin back in the field of 3 lengths to Rekindled Power. And up on the outside of it is Delectation, as Nostradamus has taken to the lead from Moss Fun. Soldi Damani driving through into third, followed by Rubik. Then came Bring Me the Maid. Confederate's caught off the track. Further back to Puzzling Wonder. Curo Hero drifting back from Delectation, and Rekindled Power got very close to heels as they race past the 600 metres, and Moss Fun continues to roll forward. 3/4 in front from Nostradamus, and Rubik is hugging the fence as they turn. 2 lengths away to Soldi Damani, then Bring Me the Maid. Kuro still back second last at the 400 metres. Moss Fun being cuddled in the lead from Rubik, who's popped the question. Rubik and Moss Fun stride for stride. Delectation's running on inside the 200 metres, and a wide out Delectation races up to hit the lead from Rubik. Then Moss Fun, Bring Me the Maid running on strongly at the end. Delectation in front. Bring Me the Maid with a sweeping run on the outside. Delectation clinging on. Delectation got in the arrow field just from Bring Me the Maid and Rekindled Power. Followed in by Moss Fun. Further back to Rubik from Puzzling Wonder. Kuro, well, just got too far back today from Nostradamus, Soldi Damani, and Confederate was the last one to finish.
Another win for Huey Bowman. He took the first, and now he takes this one on Delectation in the Arrowfield 3-year-old sprint. A race that's part of the championships has held off the challenge from Bring Me the Maid. Only just another round or so, and Bring Me the Maid would have grabbed it. Right on the line, a big cheer goes up as Delectation holds on to beat Bring Me the Maid.
Yeah, agonising for backers of Bring Me the Maid because she's run so well here. We knew she would. She loves the wet track and she's come from just off the speed throughout, but Delectation another.
Back home again, and you've produced a day.
Yeah, in same colours as Grand Marshal. So, yes, Mr. Lai was very, very happy there at Randwick yesterday. Look, he's always had ability, as we've just heard. He ran second to Brazen Bow in the Coolmore going back to November of last year, but it sounds like he's hard to train, he's hard to ride, he's got a few problems.
He's a problem child. He's a very talented problem child. Like, it was in that Coolmore, there was about 5 lengths to the third horse in that Coolmore, but he's an impossible horse to ride. He jumps, he wants to bolt, if the speed slows, he climbs heels. Bowman just rode.
He hangs.
He does everything. He hangs in.
I'll tell you what you had on him yesterday. He had a set of pacifiers.
He's had everything.
He had a set of earmuffs on yesterday. He had a crossover noseband.
That was his new piece of gear yesterday.
And he's wearing a lugging bit, a ring bit as well. I don't know that there's any more they can put on him now. Thankfully, whatever they did has finally worked with him.
He's a good horse.
And what do we do about Kuro?
No, well, his kennel. He's on the verge of the kennel.
No, he's not on the verge.
Well, probably deservedly so. Look, he was set up nicely for that race. I don't think it was one of blocks. He clears them and finds the fence, and he drags back. So none of the race stuff didn't go his way, but still, jury's out on Kuro. And I know we're talking about a very heavy track here, and we can be critical of horses that didn't handle it. I think that this Rekindled Power is the horse to follow. He was first up. He's a miler. He could be one. I don't know what Paul's thinking with him. Maybe Brisbane or just a couple of runs into the spring. He's an underrated horse, that. And
Bring Me the Maid first up. She's an absolute knob first up. She just produces great performance after great performance first up.
So she flattered in the wet. I want to see her on the drive.
It suits her in the wet as well, but you've got to get things to suit you to win those sort of races. And she just
ran on really well in the Vinery Stud Stakes, and I think the pick of the yard here for the Oaks, number 10, Ballet Suite for Chris Waller and Ryan Moore. Let's head to Duff for his late mail.
Thanks, Caroline. Numbers here in the late mail are 4-1, 10 and 2. I'm switching to the New Zealand here, Savaria. She's a strong staying filly. She looked the part. Hopefully she has a bit of luck from an awkward draw here, but she'll run this distance right out of the others. 10, Ballet Suite, a quality filly, still inexperienced.
Savaria's on the second line at $6 alongside Candelara. Ballet Suite and Thunder Lady, the other couple in single figures. 5 of them there.
The wind has flopped out of the gates and will settle down last. And Candelara won the start from Rustic Melody, and Winks is a lot handier on the fence from Wildenstein, and Purton's found a gap to drive through on Thunder Lady and has kept Rustic Melody very wide turning out of the straight. Followed by Gust of Wind, then Sweet and Speedy, Ballet Suite, Cesali and Candelara looking to make all. A length and a half in front of Rustic Melody. Gust of Wind sliding into third, followed by Thunder Lady. Then Wildenstein placed under pressure from Cesali. Winks, Ballet Suite to the outside from Savaria. And back last of all is Sweet and Speedy, but Candelara leads inside the 700 metres by a length on Rustic Melody. Gust of Wind is getting a lovely inside run as they approach the turn, and gust of wind has put her head through to hit the lead now from Candelara. Rustic Melody in third. Cesari's making ground on the fence. Winks has got a lift from Thunder Lady as they straighten up. It's gust of wind on the inside. Candelara's trying to come back. Now Winks is starting to put in the big strides. Gust of wind under the whip. Has Candelara beat? Winks is running on resolutely. It's gust of wind. England riding for dear life. Winks is trying to pull back the margin, but it's not going to happen. And gust of wind is roaring away with the Australian Oaks. Gust of wind by 2.5 lengths to Winks. Candelara third, then Rustic Melody, Thunder Lady, Savaria got a long way back. From Cesari, Sweet and Speedy, Ballet Sweet and Wildenstein last. And there's about 50 lengths from first to last in the Oaks. And an emphatic victory by Gust of Wind, trained by John Sargent.
Yes, and what about that man, John Sargent? Now, he would take a special piece of history here today. He's trained the winner of the Victoria Oaks with Kiramosa, the Queensland Oaks with Quintessential, the New Zealand Oaks with Miss Mossman, and now he's made it 4 Oaks and an Australian Oaks with Gust of Wind. And to think that at a lowly meeting at Scone on the 23rd of February, this filly gave them a furlong start. Couldn't keep up in the early part. She won the race, and only a couple of starts later, she's a Group 1 winner.
And she's certainly learned a lot since then, hasn't she? Because this one...
I served it up to him on the corner, and she just kept riding.
So you must have got a nice drag up early, though.
I did. I done no work early and ended up on the inside of Thunder Lady. Crept up inside Huey, who was leading, and sort of skitched him from the corner, and yeah, she just kept running. She's a great stayer, this filly.
And you're a great rider, of course, done awesome things since returning.
To be on the more fancied stablemate Thunder Lady, but look, in the end, he landed on the winner, and it was the first time that she'd won in town. She's quite a lightly raced filly, trained by John Sargent at Randwick, who's joining us from the track this morning. John, thanks for joining us. Look, very lightly raced. You'd only had 5 starts prior to yesterday. At what point did you start thinking, you know, this is an Oaks filly?
Probably after a first up win at Scone. People haven't seen it. They want to see that replay. That was a phenomenal effort, but she's like a good athlete. She's taken every run in a stride and peaked at the right time.
John, you talk about Scone. I think we've got some vision here of her on the point of the turn at Scone. I don't know whether you were thinking she was an Oaks filly at the 600 here at Scone. Here she is second last and keeps getting further and further back, and she wouldn't go a yard.
Yeah, I thought I was going to have to go back to the trials and retrial her, but lucky enough, Jay Ford kept hitting her, and she kept improving, and then flew home and won it, as you can see here.
Yeah, she's last here. You wouldn't blame him if he pulled her out of the race, and she comes down the outside. It was a very, very strong staying performance.
Yeah, it was very similar to Kiramosa did not as good as this, but when she won her maiden at Newcastle, that was the same. She outstayed them and carried on and won the VRC Oaks.
That certainly was a stunning win, wasn't it, there at Stone? Why weren't we all onto it?
Exactly. The writing was on the wall.
Exactly right.
John, where do you see her going from here? I mean, do you go on to Queensland with her? Do you put her in the paddock? What's your plan?
Yeah, we just trotted her up this morning. Both of them seem fine, her and Thunder Lady, to go out tomorrow, have 6 weeks out, and this horse, I think, will be aimed at Melbourne. I haven't had one that I...
John, we had the races kicks.
Oh, look, Winks, I hate to say it, but Joe gave her a bit of a sore back. You know, it wasn't his best ride. Magic Man on Winks, she was third the fence at some stage, and then obviously the fence was probably prime land. She got shuffled back to third last, and then had to made a run 4 and 5 deep.
What was the bit I couldn't understand about what he was doing on her? He'd struggled to hold that position third on the fence, and then she just drifted back through and got into a position where it became very, very difficult to win from there. Look, I thought her run was very good. She did peak on her run. As soon as she claimed second spot, her run ended. She was never going to claim the winner here. From about here on, I don't think she took 1 yard off the winner.
No, she stayed late. Yeah. I mean, so the damage was done early. Well, the most surprising thing about this race was the Adrian Knox form stood up. We all thought the Vinery, that's the form. But the winner, Candelara...
She ran well. She battled on well.
Yeah, she battled on well. And even Rustic Melody into 4th position. They were all those horses from Monday. And I think when we got onto this testing...
Now, what a picture First Seal looks in the paddock here. The top 3-year-old star filly, really good performance in the vinery, and she looks to have plenty of supporters here today.
She's a glamorous filly, isn't she? Look, a record split
to go around here. I think Catkins always looks great in the yard. She's very, very tough. Hard to get a line on her coat because she is grey. She doesn't quite gleam like some of the others. I thought Diadem, one of the Kiwi visitors.
And you know, she's pleased in every other way, so that's the only worry.
It was probably more a case
At Randwick's next, the Group 1 Queen of the Turf, First Seal, the favourite.
Stand by for a start. Problem here. Being unloaded from the gates of Marnpour. Number 9 into the starting gates. We're about to. Turf, Gypsy Diamond missed it, and First Seal was slow out. Hera being taken back, and Catkins won the start. From Sports Illustrated, Diadem pushing forward out wide, Amanpour sliding through. Then came just behind them, Noble Protector settling fifth. From Cosmic Endeavour, Intimate Moment, Amicus next, followed by First Seal, Benari on the fence. They're followed well back in the field by Telepathy from Gypsy Diamond, Hera, Diamond Drill, and Just a Blur, drop back to last. Amanpour's driving through to hold out the New Zealand mare, Diadem, and they go stride for stride. Moreira's got Catkins down onto the fence in third, a half length away to Sports Illustrated. Then came Intimate Moment from Cosmic Endeavour. Noble Protectors caught 3 wide, no cover down the side. Further back came Benaria from First Seal, then Amicus, a length and a half then to Hera from Gypsy Diamond, Telepathic off the course, and the last 2 Diamond Drill and Just a Blur as they race down the side of the course of the 700, and a Marpour in front from Diadema, tucked away third Catkins from Sports Illustrated. No luck at all for Noble Protector's been 3 wide all of the way, trying to inch closer on the turn, and First Seal is tracking up behind them. A Marpour straightens in front. Catkins gets the run off the fence now. Diadem under pressure from Sports Illustrated, Noble Protector, and further back to Intimate Moment. Marpour leads by a length and a half to the mighty mare Catkins giving chase. Then Intimate Moment. Noble Protector keeps coming, but Marpour going strongly inside the 100 metres, and Marpour's holding Catkins and Noble Protector, and Marpour's going to make all in the Queen of the Turf. Marpour by 2 lengths to Catkins. Noble Protector a big run in third. Then Intimate Moment from Cosmic Endeavour. Behind them was Benaria from Diadem, First Seal and Gypsy Diamond. Then Just a Blur from Sports Illustrated, Hera, Diamond Drill, Amicus, and Telepathic was the last one to finish.
Well, these vet checks had a couple of Leinster horses. Hartnell was vet checked in the BMW and bolts in, and Amanpour, she was backed out, checked. She was fine. Never gave the others a look in. What a strong front-running performance.
It really was. Let's look for the hot and sweaty ones next time out, because she was in a lather of sweat beforehand, as you say.
We were happy once the gates opened. I got out nice and clean and just wanted to ride a nice, bold race. She's one over further than the mile, and she likes the ground, so I wanted to be right up in the van, and she gave me a great kick turning for home. And she's delighted me today. She's done a fantastic job.
For $19.10 and $4.10. Well, if you're following Ron Dufficy and Dean Lester, you would have found that $19.10 and $4.10. Catkins $1.70 and Noble Protector $2.40 from Royal Randwick. Let's check out what the beaten jockey said from the Thoroughbred Central. Horses are starting to come into the mounting yard for the Sydney Cup. For the Sydney Cup, 3,200 metres on the soft 7 track. It's maintained that rating since it was upgraded from the heavy 8. Hartnell at $2.20 on the tote, $1.80 on tab fixed odds. Protectionist $4.80. Who Shot the Barman? Another place getter in a Melbourne Cup at $6, and then you're out to Big Memory right out there at $16. So according to the punters,
Hartnell's the favourite, $1.75 fixed, still even money on the tote. Protectionist at $4.80, and Who Shot the Barman at $7.50.
This year's edition. They're racing. And the favourite Hartnell jumped out pretty well. In fact, Hartnell sitting very handy with Au Revoir Don Dorimo, and Hartnell makes a line of 3. Like a Carousel in the pink jacket up to 4th from Big Memory. Dominant drops in for cover, followed by Protectionist, who's better than midfield in the early part, followed by Renew, Who Shot the Barman, Grand Marshal, and Axar's going to settle last. A line of 3 around the home turn the first time, and it's the raging favourite Hartnell in front from Don DeRimo, and Au Revoir just being restrained now, and Au Revoir will drop in and get cover. Big Memory fourth on the rails, followed by Like a Carousel from Protectionist, then Dominant from Who. It's the favourite, free striding in the lead at the 1400 metres. Hartnell, a big winner in the BMW, and Hartnell shows the way by a length on Don DeRimo. Big Memory third, followed by Au Revoir. No change to the order. Midfield in the pink jacket, Like a Carousel, followed by Protectionist, then Dominant, Who Shot the Barman, snookered away on the fence from Renewed, then Axar second last, and Grand Marshal is last of all. They're racing up to the point where the race began, and Hartnell still in front, trying to make all. It's Hartnell in front by a length on Don DeRimo in second. Big Memory is in third position on the rails as they race down the side of the course now. He's been given every chance from there, followed by Au Revoir, then Like a Carousel. Further back to Protectionist on the rails as the pace starts to quicken a little bit down the side. So Protectionist is hemmed away for the time being. Dominant trying to improve his position now as they sprint it up towards the home turn. And they're followed further back by Grand Marshal. But up front, it's Hartnell in front by a length to Au Revoir. Big Memory over on the inside. Pulling out deeper now is Dominant getting going together with Like a Carousel on the outside. Hartnell in front. He's being popped the question by Berry as Dominant for Hong Kong strides up with a big challenge, and Dominant races up to join Hartnell, who's fighting back under pressure. Who Shot the Barman's getting the rails run. Blake Shinner scraping through on Who Shot the Barman, and he raced to the lead. Grand Marshal goes to second. Hartnell's gone, but it's Who Shot the Barman in front. Grand Marshal's pulling back the margin. It's a great finish. Grand Marshal dives at Who Shot the Barman. Grand Marshal lunging at Who Shot the Barman in the Sydney Cup. Great finish. Like a Carousel back third in front of Hartnell. Then Axar from Dominant, who made the early move. Then Protectionist, all the favourites back from Big Memory, Renew, Au Revoir, and well back behind them, Hartnell. Here's a great photo finish. Grand Marshal lunging at Who Shot the Barman. Jim Cassidy on Grand Marshal, wearing down Who Shot the Barman with every stride. And it's got
Grand Marshal has lunged and won the Sydney Cup for Jimmy Cassidy. Well, he could hardly get a ride. He didn't get a ride on Saturday, Jimmy Cassidy, and he's had just a couple today.
Here in the Group 1.
Yeah, look, great thrill. I've got to thank my wife, Vicky, my girls, Piper, Sasha and Nicole, and Malcolm and Longy. They've been great supporters. I wasn't here riding last week, Bernie. And to come out first ride today over the championships and win the cup on this little horse. I think I've only had about 6 rides on him for 3 wins and now a Sydney Cup. So very thrilled. Nice to have Chris get me back on board. And
You had Grand Marshal warming up.
Yeah, well, obviously the favourite was in front and he looked to be travelling quite comfortably in a good rhythm. So I thought, gee, he's going to be hard to beat. I could see Who Shot the Barman getting a dream run with it, following Protectionist, and then coming up on his inside, which is the place to be today. And then to see him storm home down the outside, it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's been, well, I suppose it puts you in a position where you're watching 2 horses at once, aren't you, really?
Yeah, it's a great feeling when you win any race, but when you come for a Sydney Cup, it's something special when the two stablemates fight it out.
And you've been really great with the stayers ever since you arrived here in Australia. It's been a real passion of yours.
Yeah, it has been. Not so much passion. We didn't have any choice. Didn't get 2-year-olds to train, and so we had to do the best we could.
Yeah, well done. Enjoy it.
Who Shot the Barman in the Sydney Cup? Great finish. Like a Carousel back third in front of Hartnell.
Jimmy, what happened Saturday? You couldn't get a ride?
I think you're a great jockey's been, and what a great jockey he still is, as we saw yesterday. But it was a great finish there in the Sydney Cup. Just when we thought Who Shot the Barman had the race won, he just went through on the rails and looked like he was all set for victory. Grand Marshal came steaming home and nabbed him.
He's a master trainer of stayers, Chris Waller. He's a master trainer in general, but he stayers, he just gets them right on the day. And this horse, you'd say disappointing on Monday, although he was in the worst ground. But another one on the quick backup on a heavy track. It's a good form to do that. Look, he was too good. Who Shot the Barman was all over a winner, wasn't he? But Hartnell, I knew he was gone early, to tell you the truth. That high head carriage from getting that dig at the start He just didn't come up back underneath Berry whatsoever. I knew he was in trouble a long way out, even though he looked to be travelling. He was just running on a little bit of fear. And I see he pulled up mildly lame behind with a poor post-race recovery. So he's better than that, Hartnell, believe me. Maybe he's not a staying horse in Australia. Maybe we should train him for 1.5 mile races, but I'll leave that to the Godolphin team. Protectionist pulled up with an injury. I think Brent might have something on that. But, yeah, good on you, Jimmy. This is a great story, and Jimmy doesn't hold back. You know, he had a dig at everyone there.
Fair enough
That's
too, I
our Jimmy.
suppose.
One thing I'll say about Chris Wallace stayers, almost to the very last one, they all relax.
Yeah.
They all drop the bit in their
I thought
races.
that from day one.
And that is absolutely critical to get horses to stay those trips. They must relax in the race. And as you said, Hartnell didn't do it, and he paid the penalty in the straight, which they always do. And it doesn't just apply to staying races. It almost applies to every single distance, including the sprints. If you over-race, you're almost history in this country. That's just the way it works.
Still insane that in our country.
One little side note to the Sydney Cup, and I think it's a disappointing one. There was only one horse in that field that was foaled in Australia. I think Like a Carousel was the only one that didn't have a foreign suffix next to his name.
Well, we're getting used to that, though.
Yeah, and the whole field of foreign bred, foreign foaled, foreign raised horses. And, we've got to turn that around a bit in this country. The money's still there for the staying race.
It's going to be a long process.
Well, Elizabeth Stakes, $4 million over 2,000 metres coming up next. We've got a first four pool gap. Here's the market criterion, $4 equal favourite with the Japanese runner To the World, also at $4. Adelaide, if he wins this, is almost guaranteed of being a horse of the year, $5.50. Tosin Stardom, another Japanese horse at $8. And Royal Descent, does love a wet track, is in good form, $9.50. So that's the third leg of the quaddie here, where 11 takes a moderate early pace and building during the race.
Starting to drift out again at 10. And Spillway at 18. No official market mover here. Realistically, if you really push me, I'd make it Lucia Valentina. Bernie, she's behind the barrier now.
Won the blue riband of the championships, the Queen Elizabeth Stakes, $4 million. Here's Darren.
Adelaide's the last to move in, and we're ready now for the $4 million Longines Queen Elizabeth Stakes, and the gates open. They're off and racing. And 5.5 Star jumped hastily together with Aomen, and they're the two vying for the early lead. Beaten up is Berringle on the fence. Red Cadeau handy together with Criterion, and 5.5 Stars caught very deep and will have to press on. Tosin, Stardom and To the World, the two Japanese runners plonk in midfield, followed by Royal Descent has found a spot on the fence from Happy Trails. Then Spillway, Adelaide found the fence, and Lucia Valentino is last. Working into that first turn now and pressing on 5.5 Star, having been caught deep in the early part, and it's going through to head off Aomen now. Criterion got across into third, followed by Beaten Up and Red Cadeau back to fifth. Further back to Tosin Stardom from Royal Descent, the rails To the World, the outside. Then Happy Trails from Adelaide. The Australian Cup winner Spillway's back second last, and Lucia Valentina is last of all as 5.5 Star. Puts the pedal to the metal going down the back and keeps the speed genuine as they race into that bend. 5.5 Star draws out by 2.5 lengths to Aomen, holding a spot on the fence on the inside of Criterion. Caught off the course is Tosin Stardom, but Berry's allowing him to slide just a little bit closer. Followed then by Beaten Up on the rails. They're followed then by Red Cadeau To the World, covering a bit of ground. Further back then to Royal Descent over on the fence. Adelaide still back last with Lucia Valentino, and Spillway's just behind them. It's 5.5 Star racing past the 600 metres at 2.5 clear, but Criterion starting to bridge the gap very, very quickly. Followed by Aomen. Tosin Stardom's off the course. So's Happy Trails. Further back then to Red Cadeau, and To the World is strung up in traffic as they straighten up, and Criterion's taken to the front by a length on Tosin Stardom, who keeps coming the outside. Aomen the rails. Lucia Valentino down the outside, but it's the Derby winner Criterion well clear inside the 200 metres. Criterion's burst away in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes. It's all over. Red goes into second, clear from Royal Descent going to third, but Criterion, what an emphatic victory in the $4 million feature. Criterion beats Red Cadeau and Royal Descent. Then Spillway from Lucia Valentina. Adelaide got going late from Tosin Stardom by Aomen. Further back to Beaten Up, 5.5 Star, and To the World has pulled up short and run last.
What a win. What a win. He has absolutely spanked them, and he was going to win a long way from home. Craig Williams hadn't moved a muscle on Criterion. You were looking back in the field and thinking, who's going to start to come into this race? But you kept coming back to Criterion because he was travelling so well. He hadn't let him go. He's put a margin on Red Cadeau, second again, Gina.
What a horse,
But Ed
though.
Dunlop and Robin Trevor Jones are beside themselves with excitement.
Exactly, a $4 million race. I'm not surprised because he has run so well. He's weaved his way through the field. There is a few hard luck stories to talk about when they look at the replays. Had to come through the field from the hard way, right off the pace.
Of it here, but Craig, obviously you're confident before the race. I talked to you behind the gates, but really it couldn't have been any easier win than the outcome was.
It's all right in the grey pony, but it's been a really tough championships. It's been fantastic racing. To get the international competitors to come in that racing in Sydney done a great job. Not only do we all know about the great jockeys, and for me, fortunate enough to be on a really nice horse, Criterion. I actually rode him as a 2-year-old that long ago, and I was grateful to get the opportunity. David Hayes was that confident. He just said, Craig, just ride him like a good horse. And he raced like a good horse, and my job sitting on top was nice and comfortable. And
so both high-class horses, and we're so excited to have a horse of this ability. It's a real honour.
When you took this horse over, what were your immediate thoughts in the early days?
Initially, I didn't know. Sir Owen Glenn just said, David, would you take it? You've been to Hong Kong for 10 years and you know Hong Kong. Do you think you'd be the sort of horse who'd do well there? And I really just played with him for a couple of weeks, and I rang him after his first piece of work and I said he'd be definitely good enough.
Yeah. What about today, though? That was so dominant. That's a $4 million race with a lot of good horses in it.
Well, he hit the front at the 500, I think, and normally you're a sitting shot, but I think Craig had to go. The horse just took him.
And how much has he come on since that trip to Hong Kong? He's bounced back in Australia and been very, very good.
Look, he's a true elite Group 1 horse, and he's going back to Hong Kong if he pulls up well next week, and then hopefully to Ascot, because he's done everything a horse could do in Australia.
So you want to go to Royal Ascot?
I would love to.
This year?
One of my dreams is to take an Australian older horse and do the reverse to what they've done to us, which is win all our staying races. I'd love to take him there and compete in a 2,000-metre race there.
Okay, is there?
You had a bet, thanks to the Tab and the Daily Telegraph, $50,000 on Criterion. Wow, $245,000 payday. Can you believe it?
It's unbelievable. I'm lost for words. Just absolutely lost.
Yeah, delighted. I mean, all credit to my team, actually, and the horse. But I'm not saying we would have beaten the winner, but if we watched the race again, he got stopped twice, and maybe we would have been much closer.
And watching it, were you a little bit worried when he was so far back?
Well, he was in a good position, but he got a bit intimidated in the middle of the race and got too far back, and I thought we were in a lot of trouble. But, he showed what a good horse he was today.
Really does, and the decision to go for this very much vindicated.
There we go.
What will you do now, Ed?
Well, I need to talk to Ronnie, who's the owner, Arkuli. But he's in a race in Hong Kong, a race in Singapore, and a race in Japan. So we'll see how he is. I don't know what will happen yet.
We're all willing him to win the big one. Well done here.
But we will come back for another Melbourne Cup.
Brilliant. We'll look forward to that. Let's join Richard.
What an emphatic victory in the $4 million feature. Criterion beats Red Cadeau and Royal Descent. Then Spillway.
He won a Black Opal as a 2-year-old. He won a Rosehill Guineas and ATC Derby as a 3-year-old and placed in plenty of good races. But Ron, yesterday, he really went to a new level, winning that $4 million race and in really dominant fashion too.
Wow, he had that race won from the 800. You could just see horses getting off the bit around him, and he was just trucking into the race. Hadn't won for 12 months. Maybe the ground helped him yesterday, but still, he seems to be in a really good frame of mind at the moment. He'll go to Hong Kong and he'll be very, very competitive. And who knows, when he gets to Royal Ascot, it's a bit harder there, especially with those horses over a bit more ground, but he won't let the side down, that's for sure.
Well, David's got to work out which race he's targeting first, the Duke of something or the Queen of something.
We'll find a calendar for him anyway. I thought the second horse was unbelievable there. I honestly shook my head when they said they were going to run in that race.
Red Cadeau?
Yeah. He was so brave. And if you have a couple of looks at that race and see what happened to him in the run, you could make a case to say that he should have went head and head to the line and maybe even won that race. That was such a brave performance. Incredible.
Well, he doesn't run bad races in Australia, Red Cadeau, does he?
He's a superstar. I mean, he can run a second. Well, he can run a second, but he got held up at a vital stage. I'm not taking anything away from the horse that won because he did travel into the race. So Craig Williams was still holding the horse on the steel when they topped the rise. I mean, that doesn't happen in Group 1 races of that calibre very often. So, and, you know, who knows, if Red Cadeau had come to him earlier, he might have lifted again Criterion and won just as handsomely. So he's been very consistent over the last 12 months without winning. And he is a very competitive horse when you know, at this level for sure. And he'll be competitive overseas. Look at Red Cadeau there running into dead ends with the red cap
Big
at
run.
the back of the field. He's run into a dead end twice that I counted. And even here, there wasn't quite enough room. And when he saw room, he really dived through. And look at him get to the line. Now, if you watch Criterion at the same time here, Red Cadeau's taking ground off him. Criterion's probably floating a little bit the last 20, 30 metres and might have flattered Red Cadeau fractionally. But it was a mighty, mighty effort by that horse and Red Cadeau. And there'll be more.
Words can't describe
He's
it.
a galloper as well, so that wouldn't.
The horse who was favourite heading into the Queen Elizabeth Stakes was unfortunately scratched on Friday afternoon after being found to be lame in the off-4. I spoke with trainer John O'Shea this morning. The horse is going to go for scans in around 10 days. It's hopeful that he'll be okay to compete in the Spring Carnival.
And just Burton had to say about To the World, he started favourite and finished last.
End of the track, mate. He's off the bit, 900 metres from home. She ran huge. Very glad the way how she put her heart into the fight, into the race. And unfortunately, there is no more things looking forward, but I'm very pleased with the way how she runs.
Clint Schofield beaten up?
Yeah, beaten up, big run, Brandy. I was just pocketed away and wasn't able to get out and get mobile, which was disappointing because when he got out, he flew and if he was able to build up from sort of the three furlong marker, he would have given the winner a real shake. So full credit to the team for running him in the race, and the horse is not racing like a 9-year-old. He's in fantastic form.
A nice afternoon at Randwick, and we close with a Group 2, the Sapphire Stakes over the 1,200 metres. Number 3, Avoid Lightning, is the favourite on the tote at 3.10, 10 cents shorter than that, and heading up the fixed odds board as well. On track, 2.90 out to 3.60. Back into $3.30. I have nibbled a few to beat it, including Shamalia, number 6, $7.
They're racing. There's a great line out. Chloe in Paris has jumped away very hastily together with Avoid Lightning, and Fine Mist is showing speed towards the inside, and Villaverde settles down in 4th. They're followed just off the speed to Griante from One More Zeta caught out deep. Atmospherical's overdoing it in the early part. The rider's really fighting with it. Bound for Earth improves on the rail from Shamalia. Back third last is Fine Bubbles from Belle de Coeur, and Perron's been taken back to last. It's Fine Mist, the leader at the 700 metres, a half in front of Avoid Lightning. Chloe in Paris couldn't get across in third, followed by Griante on the inside of Villaverde. Further back to Atmospherical, who travels a bit better now. One More Z to the outside. Bound for Earth is hugging the rails, and further back to Shamalia as they straighten up, and Fine Mist is the leader from Avoid Lightning, breathing down its neck. Griante is going for a run on the inside, then Chloe in Paris. Atmospherical moves up with a good run in the centre of the course. There's many chances here. One More Zeta's running on as well. Griante on the far side hits the lead from Avoid Lightning, who's not done with. Griante just in front. Avoid Lightning's in for the fight. Avoid Lightning wearing back Griante, and Avoid Lightning got the money. Wore down Griante. Fine Bubbles third, followed by Fine Mist. Then Bound for Earth, Chloe in Paris, Perron. Atmospherical next from Belle de Coeur, One More Zeta, Shamalia, and Villaverde was last to finish.
Oh, she loves a wet track. She absolutely loves it. Now, with this
Avoid
cat, of it, but they call Top Cat.
Avoid
Cat.
Avoid Lightning.
Trained horse.
Good mare, Avoid Lightning. She was well beaten in the Group 1 Galaxy at a previous start, but she loves Randwick. She loves the wets, and look, overall, she's a pretty tough mare. She's won 11 races in her career. 6 of those wins have been on slower, heavy tracks, so the ground was spot on for her.
She's a ripper. We all say Catkins is our darling of the turf. She's not far behind her. Everyone loves Avoid Lightning. Beautifully ridden, I think. He read the play, Tim Clark, on her yesterday. He's got confidence in this mare. Usually she's a back marker who just swoops, but he read the play that they're not going hard in this 1200. Let's go forward here, and my mare's fit, and it paid dividends. Griante, she's underrated. She's Group 1 place last time. She backed it up with another good run. I think she deserves credit. And Fine Bubbles runs into a bit of a dead end here at the top of the straight. I thought she should have finished closer, and pretty proud of her run as well.
She goes well, Brent, on dry tracks. She's won races on good tracks, but once it's wet, that really brings her into it.
Yeah, she's just a terrific mare in the conditions. I think that's her 7th win on soft or heavy ground. And I think Ronnie summed it up perfectly. There was a little bit of a question mark whether she was going to find the right position in running there, getting close to the speed. But once Tim Clark drove her out of the barriers, you knew she was going to be very strong to the line in the fact that she just absolutely loves the wet ground. So
worth $151,000, a Group 3 event. And it'll come up after the break here on Sky Thoroughbred Central. Winetail's well in the market. High World is the favourite on course at 225 currently. Winetail's well in the market also, just drifting from 420 out to 480 early in betting. The Queen Elizabeth stand there at Royal Randwick, and there's your market 9 minutes away from the start here. High World at 250 on the tote, 590 for in a second.
Okay, High World, it's going forward in the early part together with Stradalina. Another Alan Blademaster very prominent on the fence, and High Midnight surging forward as well, trying to find a spot in now. Merrian's let the leaders go, followed by Gouldian, and Wine Tails is going to drop back to last whilst these leaders sort themselves out, and High World is caught pretty deep in the early part, moves up on the outside of Stradalina, and another round now takes the sit-in metre mark now, and it's High World loafing along in the lead from High Midnight in second, then Stradalina from another round, Blademeister on the inside from Merrian, then Gouldian all boxed up on the fence, and Wine Tails is last. They've gone no real gallop from the halfway mark onwards, and it's High World just in front of High Midnight. Another owl's now pulling out 3 wide to start its run, followed by Stradalina. Blademeister's come off the bridle, pulling to the outside Merrian, who travels up well from Wine Tails, and Gouldian still last. High World, he pops the question to it now from High Midnight. Merrian and Wine Tails get cracking down the outside, but High World has sprinted, got 2 in front of Merrian, and Wine Tails is trying to lift the outside. It's High World on the fence, a length and a half clear from Wine Tails. They've beaten off Merrian, but High World with the easy leads found a kick, and High World has drawn clear to win it by 2 to Wine Tails and Merrian. Good margin back to High Midnight, then Gouldian from another owl, Blademeister, and Stradalina weakened to finish last of all.
Too good for them, High World. Took the blinkers off today, Peter Moody, in the hope that it would settle. Well, early on in the piece, Kerry McAvoy couldn't get across, but he eventually took his
staying future.
Yeah, a huge upside to this horse. Every time we bring him out, he matures and improves in his racing. It was really good to see him able to settle in the 2,000 metres and finish off the way he did. We were a tad bit concerned. That's why the blinkers come off, just because he had been racing so keenly. He goes out now with having a great autumn, and it'll just depend on how he spells and how he matures. Hoping, what we expect.
Ron Dufficy. Up to the Group 1s. Here's the Champagne.
Yeah, an interesting race. Looks to be a bit of speed here, so it should be an evenly run mile for the 2-year-olds, and a few chances as well.
All right, let's have a look at these runners as they parade. These 2-year-olds, the Barrister, he's going for 3 in a row.
Look, McAvoy sticking with Takedown, and it's the last to move in. $5.90 on the tote. And they're all in. The red light on. Ready now for the Malden Shandon Champagne Stakes over the mile, and they're off and racing. And Odyssey Moon was the first into stride from Mine 2. Street Rappers bursting along the fence. Takedowns pushing on from the wide draw, so there's a bit of speed on in the early part, and the Barrister's going with Takedown. So it's a line of 3 in the early part. Street Rapper, the Barrister, and Takedown. Odyssey Moon jumped well, but takes the sit in 4th now, followed 2 lengths away to Tarquin on the fence. Then Mine 2 from Reckless Russell. Pasadena Girl sitting back in the field, enjoying the good tempo, and 2 lengths last the outside. Pasadena Rose. And 2 lengths last of all is Road Assassin as they race down the side of the course, and the Barrister trying to make all. 2 lengths in front of Takedown is shooting for 4 straight wins. Street Rapper in 3rd from Odyssey Moon. Then Mine 2 from Tarquin, Pasadena Girl, Reckless Russell, and Road Assassin is still last, but on the point of the turn. And the Barrister is full of running, turning the corner from Takedown, given a rev up in 2nd. Street Rapper gets closer the outside. Odyssey Moon the inside, further back to Tarquin, Mine 2, and Pasadena Girl is now letting rip down the outside, but the Barrister going strongly at the 200 metres from Street Rapper, grinding away. Pasadena Girl's coming with a big run now. Pasadena Girl on the outside goes up to Street Rapper. They're beaten off the Barrister. It's Pasadena Girl drawing alongside Street Rapper, and Pasadena Girl, the favourite, too good, takes out the Champagne Stakes from Street Rapper. 3rd maybe Tarquin wide out with Rogue Assassin. The Barrister ran at a puff late. Then Odyssey Moon from Takedown. Reckless Russell and Mine 2 was last in.
Well, she's small in stature, but gee, she's got a motor. She has rocketed home here. Pasadena Girl for Peter Moody and Hugh Bowman have picked up the Group 1 Moe and Chandon Champagne Stakes, and Huey's able to pose for the picture. Too good for street.
Great to pick up the ride, 54 and a half. It's about as light as I can go, but I had a week to prepare, and she certainly didn't let me down. But look, I thought that she certainly didn't let me down. But look, I thought that Pride to Dubai form would stand up here, and
probably only the heavy ground that cost her the size the other day. In fairness to the opposition, she ran super and she's backed that up again today with a very solid performance.
Well, we didn't see it all late in the season, but she's come along so quickly in the punters' minds.
Yeah, well, when I purchased her, I expected her to be probably going to the races this time next year.
Right.
So, she surprised us. She's got an unbelievable attitude towards racing and towards her work for a little filly. She's butted up for the 4th time here, and she's probably presented bigger and stronger on each occasion, even though she's only a pony. So only upwards and onwards from here for her.
What could be her limit going forward as far as distances are concerned? She's proven she's a great miler, but what does the future hold?
Oh, well, she's a flight stakes, 1,000 guineas type filly, and then you look at a Wakeful in the Oaks, you'd like to think. I think she's certainly got that scope ahead of her, and it's a surprise, so anything's possible.
Exactly. Well done. Go and enjoy.
She'd won twice down the straight at Flemington and run a good 4th in the ATC size. Hugh Bowman is joining us, the jockey of Pasadena Girl, to win the Champagne Stakes. Hugh, good morning to you. Thank you as always for joining us.
Well, I was very impressed with her naturally. She's obviously got a great deal of talent, and I think Pete just suggested that she'll come back a better 3-year-old. To me, physically and even mentally, the penny hasn't quite dropped, and as I said,
well, she got a fair way back in the race. She only had 2 behind her as we pick up this replay.
Yeah, but as you said, they were rolling along, so I still think he was comfortable where he was, and she was presented at the right time. She's an interesting filly, who could easily train on into the spring and be a real Oaks candidate.
Or flight stakes, 1,000 guineas. That'll be nice races.
This wasn't a vintage, let's face it, Champagne Stakes. So only time will tell. I thought his leader was great. The barrister, he missed the start. He drove to the front, and I thought he showed a really good kick. Street Rapper, that was a good fighting performance, but this filly just asserted a superiority late here. Odyssey Moon, that's the end. He's come to the end of a long preparation, so he'll be better next preparation as well.
That was Road Assassin running on into 5th there. He finished off the race well. But I have to give Pete Moody a big accolade for buying that filly. Paid $25,000 for her, not by a fashionable sire at the time.
Well, he's a pretty good sire.
Come back to Royal Randwick for the next race, Group 1 racing upon us now. Let's check with the beaten jocks from the previous event. We'll start the favourite. It's the Group 1 All-Age Stakes. Chautauqua at $3.20 on tab fixed odds. Terra Vista at 6. Wangena's at 7 and $9.50 for Dissident. But there's plenty of runners under the double figures here in a very, very strong field, as you expect. For Group 1 racing here, the 40.
Hopefully we could be in for the race of the carnival here.
Well, it's got a great history, the All-Age Stakes, and let's have a look at them one by one as they parade. And we start.
Great race. And Lucky Hustler completes the line. And we're ready. Racing. And Wangena wide out, won the break together with Dissident quickly surging forward. Scissor Kick away well, followed by Terra Vista, then Fontalina. Chautauqua was a lot handier from the low draw and punching through on the rails, followed by Rebel Dane. Fontalina drifting back. Lucky Hustlers off the course and a bit keen, followed by Famous Seamus, Laserhawk, and General Leafe's been taken back to last. Wangela leads in the early part from Dissident, going up to sit outside. Shooting to win, drives to 3rd from Scissor Kick. Chautauqua's caught 3 deep and Terra Vista's off the track, and Bowman allows Terra Vista to go forward and race a length clear from Chautauqua, who'll drop back and get into its slipstream. Lucky Hustler to the outside. Then Rebel Dane from Fontalina, Famous Seamus. Well back in the field then is Laser Hawk from Weary, and General Leafe's last, running to the turn, and it's the Guineas winner, Wangena in front from Dissident and Terra Vista. Chautauqua goes to 4th, wider out. Lucky Hustlers the widest around the turn, shooting to win behind them, and Scissor Kick driving through. Wangena Vista. Racing up the rise in front from Dissident Terra Vista. Bowman sits quietly. Chautauqua under pressure from Lucky Hustler. It's Dissident and Terra Vista. Wandjina fights back the inside. Chautauqua's got a left. Lucky Hustler keeps coming. Dissident put its head in from Wandjina, won't sit down. Wandjina's coming back at Dissident. Dissident with the tap front. Cassidy will get it home. Dissident gets up in the all-age stakes from Wandjina and off to study goes. Chautauqua next from Scissor Kick, followed by Lucky Hustler, General Leafy. Fontalina from Weary, Famous Shamer, Shooting to Win, Laser Hawk, Rebel Dane. Terra Vista went forward and stopped very quickly.
What a win by Dissident, an all age for the ages. Dissident and Jimmy Cassidy again. Right at the end of the carnival, 2 weeks in a row, a Group 1 winner on the board. And Dissident Pumper got everything out of it to overhaul Wandjina in the run to the line. Didn't they have a clash from the start to the finish? And what a day for Peter Gordon-Moody. 3 winners, and he's cleaned up both Group 1s. Pasadena Girl in the Champagne and Dissident in the all-age stakes. Wandjina has run second. Here's the head-on.
Clickety clack, the old boy's back.
We're loving it. Tell us about the run.
Oh, look, I love this horse. He really turned things around as a 3-year-old when he came up here, and I had a gallop on him last Friday, and I really want to thank Peter Moody for giving me the opportunity to get back on him. This one's very special. My wife Vic lost her sister Marion.
Group 1 wins and never let him in, so I thought I don't own him today, so now I'll take charge.
What a win.
Oh, listen, he's never got the accolades, this colt. He's raced in group level from day one, 5 Group 1s, won his first start, won his last. You're mad if you don't send him out to him.
You knew he was flying today, didn't you?
I was really pleased with him. Listen, credit to my staff in Melbourne. They've done a tremendous job to bring him back. The last run, we're a little bit disappointed. We've had him up here for 10 or 12 days, and when Jimmy galloped him here last Friday, I just wanted to convince him how well he was going, and it convinced all of us.
It's a nice way to go out for this horse, isn't it?
Listen, it's very fitting. I've had the pleasure of retiring 3 Group 1 winners, Typhoon Tracy, Black Caviar, and the Dissident. And the first 2 were Horse of the Years. This bloke's put his hand up to be number 3, so I'm extremely proud of him. My staff,
the Randwick today, and you've taken home 3 winners and the 2 Group 1s.
Yeah, well, it doesn't get much better than that, does it? We've had multiple Group 1s previously. I think
some of the beaten jocks from the all-age minor placings have changed, but it hasn't changed for the top 3 there. 2 Dissident, the winner, 12 Wandjina second, and 1 Chautauqua third. Dissident paying $10.30 and $2.80. Wandjina $2.50.
Was for Jim too. Dissident. He's won 4 Group 1s this season. He's won the Memsey, Mackay Diva, Ore Stakes, and now the All-Age Stakes. He's had a great season. Claire Cunningham does a terrific job looking.
It's no one person, and obviously Peter's the mastermind of it all.
Must be very personally satisfying though, Claire, because I think Peter's had 5 Group 1 winners this season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but 4 of the 5 in Sydney.
Yes. I think so. I'm not sure who's counting, but...
Got big plans for him.
Well, this was a farcically run race. They slowed up. There was horses checking off heels and pulling, and then the 2 old hardheads up front, Cassidy and Oliver, they just read the play here. They might have got their heads together. Let's just slow them up here and best man to the line. That's how it seemed to be. It was just Chautauqua had barrier 1. I think it was his downfall. He did a good job getting off the fence when they slowed up, Tommy, and he just hit a flat spot, which is not normal for Chautauqua, and then he picks himself up again late here and runs on. But I just think that all comes down to the tempo of the race.
Just looking at Chautauqua there, he did get into that scrimmage about 200 to 300 metres after the start, and that he was going to be on the rail and sitting pretty there, but he got forced to check off heels, which pushed Terra Vista even wider. Terra Vista went forward then and basically sat outside the leader for the last half of the race with no cover. He's basically pulled up distressed. I don't know what the veterinary report has been on him, but he did pull up with some level of distress. And Chautauqua, I don't know how to read his run. It wasn't a bad run. It was a pretty good run from the favourite, but just wonder whether he does get the full 1,400 metres at that level. I know at lower levels he has won at 1,400 metres, but at that level is a different thing. It's a different sort of pressure. So just...
Ty Anglin, scissor kick.
Yeah, great run. Would have liked to get out on the point of the corner and wind him right up down the outside, but
where I was stuck in behind the winners, and yeah, listen, he went great.
Tommy Berry, Chautauqua.
So they didn't give me a heap of room when they crossed me, and when they did, and then they dropped the pace straight away. He just wouldn't relax.
Blake Shin, Rebel Dane.
Yeah, look, it was certainly a bit below par and what we expected. Rebel Dane, we got a lovely run from the gate, followed up behind Terra Vista and Chautauqua, but yeah, he didn't finish off like I know he can.
Clint Schofield, Weary.
Yeah, look, he had to go back.
Coming up here, $150,000, a Group 3 event. Our boy Malachi, a 260 favourite on tab fixed odds, $7 target inside. Craftiness at 7 and $9.50 for Vashka. They're the top ones in the market for the third leg of the quaddie here, coming up in just under 15 minutes. Soft 6 track. We haven't had a change to that.
They're ready to run. The gates open, they're off. And Vashka's missed the start somewhat, and Rain Affair won the break clearly. Lands a length and a half in front of Craftiness, railing through. Our boy Malachi put right up on the speed. Followed just behind them to Hidden Warrior in fourth. Then Decision Time on the rails. Vashka on the improve from Fast and Rocking Charlie Boy. A length further back then, over on the inside to Heart Tester. Followed by Big Money has got well back from Rock Sturdy. Wouldn't it be nice? And Target Insights last as Rain Affair zips out with a 2-length lead on Our Boy Malachi stalking in second. Followed then by over on the inside as they race up to the home turn. Vashka in a very prominent position. Hidden Warrior the outside from Vashka, then Fast and Rocking Decision Time as they straighten up. And Rain Affair's got a long lead from Our Boy Malachi, who's just being nursed along by Berry in second. Now he pops the question, giving chase to Rain Affair. Craftiness the inside, but Our Boy Malachi is starting to dig in deeply now. Clear from Hidden Warrior and further back to Fast and Rocking. Our Boy Malachi races to the front. Craftiness on the insides, trying hard, but it's the Rocky Rocket. Our Boy Malachi, he does it again. That's 17 from 19, beats Craftiness. Hidden Warrior third, then Fast and Rocking Charlie Boy late. Target in sight with late headway, followed by Rain Affair.
Yeah, he's just a winner. And the punters love horses that just keep winning. They're few and far between. You don't see horses with records like this. He's come from Rockhampton. He's made his way down to Sydney. And he's firmly entrenched in the top grade now. He can head towards a race like the Stradbroke, and so can the second horse. We're going to see these two horses maybe.
Yeah, the Stradbroke, and he'll run the BTC Cup and then 10,000 Stradbroke, and that's the pass we've sort of set for him. And he took on some good sprinters today, but he's a good sprinter himself.
And he's getting better?
He's actually getting better. Like, we've only had the one.
Probably a track gallop, a barrier trial.
Or a Rockhampton Class 3 or whatever
Exactly.
the case may be. Is he ready to take that step up and take on the Group 1s now?
Oh, he has to be. He has to be. You know, he's just with his attitude and whatever, and he walked in the yard there. He's a big, happy horse, and he just enjoys his racing by the look of him. He's an interesting horse that he's like a rare gem that you find every.
It's exactly what he is.
30 years.
He's very rare, that horse, because I can remember we got horses given to us to train that had had a lot of racing in country and provincial tracks, and invariably they came with issues. This horse has come seemingly in pristine condition, which is a credit to John O'Sing for taking him round.
But look at the way he picks his ears.
Yeah, I know.
He's got something about him.
No, he's a winner. And it's a credit to John O'Sing for the way he looked after the horse during that early preparation. And now the Hawks have taken over and doing a good job with him too. He's just a very rare commodity. And they broke 111 there because Rain Affair ran along in front. And he just carted the field up to Rain Affair and just kept going with the job. It's hard to do.
Yeah,
he's definitely a Group 1 horse.
He's the chopping block. You can do the donkey work on him.
Yeah, he just does it both ends of the race, and that's Group 1 racing. I'll be willing to back he'll be a weight for age sprinter.
Anything else out of this race, Ron? Outside of this race, Ron? Outside of it?
There's plenty.
Okay, point him out.
Well, Craftiness confirmed that the potential we think he might have. I thought he was excellent here. He's a horse that's one of these Joe Pride horses that just sneaks along winning a string of races and thrown into the deep level here on probably an unsuitable track for him. I thought he fought on particularly well. Charlie Boy in the red making ground through the middle. I think he's in for a good campaign. He's gelded this preparation and he'll improve with the run looking at him in the yard. And even though back in the field in the Goree colours, Rock Sturdy through the middle late as well. I think he's come up well also. So there's a few horses to follow out of this race, but look, all eyes for the winner.
Good quality sprint. You just have to look at that field. It was, they're not the highest quality sprinters in the land, but they're top quality.
Look like a mini Stradbroke.
Yeah.
Fairly
about that
handicapped.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,